Morning, everybody. Captain Trucker here. Just wanted to pop into a live stream here in Tennessee. Actually, got up really early this morning, and I thought that I'd do a live stream to help keep me awake. Isn't that nice?
Continue on I-40.
On the I-40 outside of Forest City, Tennessee, man. Got the phone mounted so I can't see any comments, but we can all talk among each other as per usual. Oh, man. There's a lot of like conversations about that new. It's not a law. The law was already put in place, but something like the NBC added something to it, so bloggers in public, they have to blur people's faces, follow new guidelines and so forth. So a lot of people have been talking about that lately. But technically, it's not a new law, quote unquote. I think there was some kind of, something was added to it maybe. I don't know. I'm not a legal expert, so try not to want to use the right verbiage and so forth. But anyway, smash that like button, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna have a long ride today. I have the phone legally mounted. I can't see the screen. Hope you're enjoying the sunrise. Welcome to the Captain Trucker live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, here from Tennessee. And I got up at like 3 a.m. What time is it in the Philippines? It's like, it's nighttime. Gotta figure that one out. Smash that like button, ladies and gentlemen, whoever might be out there watching. It's 5:30 in the morning here, just outside of Forest City, Tennessee. I think going to Nashville or somewhere. Short run today, just going about 400 miles. Started driving at like 4 a.m. Final and replaces all the American truck drivers. That's what they say. Look at that sunrise. It's coming. There's always a lot of news about autonomous trucks, but I think a lot of white-collar jobs will be replacement for trucking, truthfully. I mean, when the technology is available, it's going to take a long time to implement it, replace fleets, change laws, etc. I wonder how many like accountants will be needed in the future. I mean, even consultations from lawyers, man, like capabilities, you know, like ChatGTP and everything. It's incredible. Just incredible. And it's growing exponentially each week. That's what they say. Yeah, my brain's kind of, I wish I had something really exciting to talk about, so I guess we'll just drive in peace right now. Maybe later I'll have something better to talk about. I always do these like stream of conscience live streams, you know. Never know what I'm going to say. It's a beautiful morning though. If you want to support the live stream, just hit the like button, share it, talk among each other, all that good stuff. just live stream the whole trip today. It's nice to drive without music and podcasts, just kind of peace sometimes, you know. What I like about waking up early in the morning and driving is like, it makes the day go by way faster because, you know, 4 hours will go by and you just drove like 260 miles and it seems like you just kind of like woke up, you know what I mean? Then like half the day is already done. I do like early morning drives for sure. Yeah, man. Neil Peart wrote that in Hold Your Fire. He said the point of a journey is not to arrive. He used to talk about that in rhythm and drumming, you know. It's not dots on a map, it's like the motion between the hits, striking the drums, the rhythm, the time in between. The journey, as they said. Look at that sunrise. It's like pinkish. Isn't that beautiful? I think the sky's beautiful. Smash the like button. All that good stuff. So this is my office view every day. There's a lot of peaceful moments in trucking, folks. Just outside of Memphis, Tennessee. I just woke up and I've already gone 100 miles. Started off in Little Rock. In case anyone wants to wave to me on an overpass. No, I'm just joking. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be. It's Captain Trucker, cruising through Tennessee. just outside of Memphis. I got the phone mounted so I can't see the comments or look at it when I'm driving, obviously, for safety reasons. This is completely legal, but you're all welcome to please send in your comments, talk among each other, and when I pull the truck over, I'll be able to read them. But as of now, I'm going to enjoy the peace, and I might babble a little bit. We'll see what happens. But yeah, smash that like button if you like the view. Help promote these live streams. I'll start growing the channel more. Well, not growing, but I've been enjoying making videos this month. I like making videos on the road. It's always a good hobby, you know? It's like, you really do need hobbies on the road. You like miss your family, and it's not that you don't want to think about them. Of course you want to think about them, but you also have to occupy your mind with productive activities. Put out good messages for humanity. All that good stuff. Good morning all over the world, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're enjoying the sunrise here in Tennessee. Is there a movie called Tennessee Sunrise, I believe? I think there is. If not, that's a great name for a movie. Glad that there's a lot of Filipinos that like the channel, so I'm happy about that. We've got a fairly diverse audience that watches this channel. Although people kind of watch this from all over the world. I mean, mostly the U.S. and then Philippines, and then, well, actually it flips back and forth. Three most popular states like California, Texas, I think Florida or Washington. I still like California, man, but it's kind of changed a lot. It's almost becoming unmanageable. I just observed driving from San Antonio. It's like cities kind of. I think more people are flooding to Austin, maybe. You know, it's like, I'll try to make some more clear thoughts later. There we go. Here's the sun. You see it down deep there? It's kind of pinkish, reddish, orangish. It's like a fireball in the distance, man. Everything's perfectly aligned. Almost in Memphis, Tennessee. Sun's coming up on our left, actually. Get a better shot of it soon. Hope you're all doing well out there. Welcome to the Captain Trucker live stream, whoever's out there. Just posted some new videos this week. Good times. Talking about some new vlogging guidelines down there in the Philippines. So if anybody ever wanted to be an OTR truck driver, this is what it's like. You get a first person point of view, man. Sunrise is coming up on our left. Get a better shot of it soon. I can see the fireball in the distance. It's great. Shot of it. We're going to be veering to the left up here soon. The sun is coming up, folks. Shot of the sun momentarily. turning to the left. Here we go. Now you can see it. That way station's closed. It's always good news. Still don't really understand the purpose of way stations, but whatever. Oh yeah, they're supposed to weigh the truck. I guess that's important. Well, yeah, it is important. These are the moments you need sunglasses for sure. The sun's coming up and the sun's going down. Always maintain following distance. Cringiest thing you'll ever see is truck drivers that tailgate. It's beyond cringy, it's extremely dangerous. right. Welcome to the live stream, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in. Appreciate you all.
In 1 mile, keep left to I-40 East.
We're approaching Memphis, Tennessee. Smash that like button, folks. I got the phone mounted, so I can't see it, but you're all welcome to talk among each other. Stay tuned.
Be in either of the 2 left lanes. Continue on I-40.
See downtown Memphis coming up here. In case anybody wants to see downtown Memphis. Of course, the guy has to cut in front of me as soon as I move over. Not that I care. It's more like a safety thing, you know. It's always about following distance, man. Always drop back, let people pass you. I can't stand when truckers, they tailgate each other. It's the stupidest, craziest thing you'll ever see, man. It's like, these trucks are so hard to slow down safely, man. You need a lot of following distance. Anyway, here's downtown Nashville. Going over the bridge. Or sorry, not Nashville, Memphis, Tennessee. Tennessee Welcome Center, exit 1, no trucks.
Continue on I-40.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are in downtown Nashville, Tennessee. Just enjoying the sunrise. So, time goes by much faster. Then as soon as you gradually wake up, you've already gone like 200 miles.
Be in either of the two left lanes.
Another cringy thing is when truckers take these turns fast. Or wrap those corners too fast. No bueno. Trying to get out of downtown so I can get back on the open road. We're almost there.
any of the 3 right lanes.
Roads around cities are really annoying to shake. Infrastructure's battered. Almost out of the city. If you're enjoying this bumpy road and the shaky camera, smash that like button, by the way. Support the channel. It helps with the algorithm, as they say. Wow. I really hate those shaking effing roads, dude. I'm probably gonna have to get something for the tripod, or the whatever what's it called? Oh, the mount, yeah. Make sure it's a smooth ride for the viewers. That's gonna be my next thing. I keep forgetting to do that. I gotta do that. Make a mental note of that one. live stream, folks. We're just leaving Nashville on the I-40. Sorry, I keep saying Nashville. Memphis, Tennessee. It's about 6:20 a.m. Central Time. Left at 0400 this morning from Little Rock, Arkansas. If you're enjoying the view of these cars, or if you want to support the channel, just smash that like button. That's all we ask for. You're welcome to comment. When I pull over, I can see them. I have the phone legally mounted, and I'm not engaging with the phone at any time during this trip while I'm on the road.
In 1 mile, take the exit on the left to I-40 East toward Nashville.
OMG. Hope everybody's doing well this morning. I'll probably start talking soon, as soon as my brain is fully coherent to form sentences and so forth. No, I'm just kidding. I can talk at any time. Sometimes it's just nice to drive in peace. Except during rush hour.
Be in either of the 2 left lanes, then take the exit to I-40 East. on I-40.
Almost out of the city. Trying to get out of Nashville. Oh, at least we got some wide open lanes here. There's a lot of lanes here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lanes. Wow. It's a very wide freeway right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 lanes. Who would have thought? Colonial Hardware. You know, there's still some parts in the South, like, especially in smaller towns, where people still swing the Confederate flag in different states, actually. Probably chalk it up to history or something or whatever. Who knows? But yeah, people are still swinging that flag in the South. There's actually, man, I can't remember where it is, but it's a massive one. Like, it's really big. And you can see it from like a distance. Yeah. In case anybody cared to know. Almost out of Nashville. I keep saying Nashville, dude. Memphis, Tennessee. On the I-40. I gotta find somewhere to pull over. A lot of guys go down conspiracy theory rabbit holes. The problem is that some guys, they can't handle it. So all these, and they do it under the, well, they say they're seeking truth, but then they spend all their time in negativity and they wonder why. Or I guess they use that as a reason to be like depressed or something, because they're like, well, I'm seeking truth, so I'm going to study negative things all day. Like, can you imagine being like a detective or like a homicide investigator or something? Like somebody that works in like really horrific dark aspects of humanity, it's got to really take an effect on your mind, I would imagine, right? Or you ever find yourself just like aimlessly scrolling on social media and then you realize like 2 or 3 hours went by? Gotta watch for that stuff. Stuff creeps up on you. Time is precious, man. Time's valuable. That's for sure. If you like that sentiment, smash that like button and spread some good karma. Time is valuable. I like getting out of the truck and going for runs, like after my shift, or even sometimes on the half-hour break. Probably looks strange to some people, like they just see some random guy running out in the desert, or running on the side of the road, or running in a parking lot. But you got to do it, man. Like you got to stay in shape. Otherwise, I couldn't imagine life without exercise, especially trucking life. Yeah, I mean, I'll get out and jog for 30, 40 minutes. Sometimes I'll sprint in intervals. I mean, I'll do push-ups, crunches in the shower, at the truck stop. I mean, whatever you got to do. A combination of all those things. You can't always make it to a gym or drop the trailer always. You always got to get creative. Keeps the mind fresh. It's good for the body, you know. Stay sharp. See, trucking in particular can do something to the mind when you're on the road for too long. Like a lot of people, like they think, or they see some truckers as like quote unquote stupid or whatever, but they don't realize that the social isolation, like and being away from everything and being on the road for so long, it just kind of can make the mind numb. So that's why it's just, you know, like low cognitive activity from the environment, so to speak. Lack of socializing and whatnot. That's why it's so key that they stay engaged with like hobbies and exercise, or I mean, even, you know, that's where social media can actually be really healthy for some people in certain occupations, such as trucking, especially if you think about it. A way to stay, you know, connected to people, obviously, so it's a good thing. But yeah, they say trucking's been going downhill really since the 80s, the 1980s. They started putting in more regulations, and then, you know, mega carriers and all the corporate greed, they started basically reducing driver pay and putting more money in their pockets for their cronies. And then a lot of the, the big corporations, or the mega carriers they call them, fleets that have over X amount of trucks, thousands of trucks. Yeah, they started basically paying drivers less, putting more money in their pockets. And it became, and also more and more it's become an attractive job for immigrants, right? So then immigrants get taken advantage of, they pay them lower wages. I think, that's my theory. And it's amazing on the road now. Like, I feel like I'm, especially with AI coming, autonomous trucks and whatnot, I feel like I'm in that group of like the last sort of, I don't know, American truckers, so to speak. There's a lot of American truckers, but more and more it does seem like a lot of Eastern Europeans, a lot of people from different countries are occupying the trucks, And understandably, I mean, it's a good job. I would be doing it if I was an immigrant too. And then they get to go back wherever they came from, whatever. So yeah, I mean, I started doing it. I'm kind of doing the reverse of that, I guess, as an American expat. So, but I think more and more people are going to start doing what I'm doing, like, more people are going to become American expats. And I think trucking is the perfect kind of way to do it because, you can work X amount of months on the road and then go overseas to like the Philippines or Thailand. Good expat locations and whatnot. And yeah, it's an attractive opportunity. But yeah, back to trucking industry. There's a combination of the government with the regulations, and then of course corporate greed. All the corporate guys putting more money in their pockets for their cronies. And then, you get all the overcompensation and the advertising about how much they love their drivers. And that's why you see it. I mean, that's why you see all these recruitments. We love our drivers. They're our number one asset, which is kind of funny that they call a human being an asset. But anyway, all that is kind of a social sales overcompensation for the fact that, no, they really don't love their drivers. You know what I mean? It's like, far from it. If they love the drivers, they would pay them what they deserve. I mean, back in the 1970s, adjusted for inflation, truck drivers were making over $130,000 a year. $140,000, $150,000. Back in the 1970s, all right? Like, adjusted for inflation. But, I mean, so it's kind of steadily has gone down over the decades. So you could even argue that it's kind of conspiratorial, right? I mean, the government puts on regulations, and then even suddenly Hollywood, all the movies are suddenly degraded truck drivers in movies, pop culture. So it's creating this image of guys that are, I don't know, outlaws, degenerates, abusers of substances, criminals, blah, blah, blah. You started seeing serial killers. You started seeing that more in movies, even in the, started, I would say, in the 1980s into the 90s, and probably till today. And I think the last, all-American, quote-unquote, trucking movie was probably like, I don't know what, Stallone? Well, I mean, I know there's been others. I think Liam Neeson did a smaller one recently, but, over the top story about a man raising money for his, I think, to build his son a house, maybe. He gets into arm wrestling and stuff. But, you go back before that in decades, and like in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, truckers were nuts. Those were the golden years when they were really respected, when the culture respected them, when they made more money and all that. But yeah, it's kind of, it is remarkable, isn't it? I mean, it's how bad it is now. I mean, even since I've been doing it, the past decade plus, yeah, they really, employers really treat them badly. I mean, it's that whole us versus them, office staff. It's like the white collar world versus the blue collar world, and you get all these passive aggressive people in the office, whatever. Bookkeepers, accountants, managers, operations managers, flipping secretaries. The way they write notes to the truck drivers in the break room, like that corporate stuff. But the point is that it creates a separation, and it's really not good for the company or for anybody, really, right? And because you see that us versus them mentality in like different walks of life. But what you don't want to do is create that culture in a company, because it's just they wonder why driver turnover are so high, and they all pay the same lip service. And the truth is that 85% of the companies are, very rude and disrespectful to the drivers, and that's the real reason why they have a turnover. Money is probably there too, obviously, but I don't know if it's like an American thing. I don't want to like rip on our culture or anything, but I think there's an idea that if we just throw money on something, that it's going to somehow make the world a better place or make the culture better. And it's kind of like an insult to humanity if you think about it. It's like, even like the higher paying companies, they still feel like, oh, we can be rude to our drivers because we pay them well or something. But it never works, But there's always like 10% of companies out there that get that part of it right, like such as GP Transco. I think, and I used to help them with their, I used to have conversations with their marketing director. We used to talk about this subject a lot, and I did a few videos about them and they appreciated that. But see, they were real active on social media, although they haven't been the past year for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, but they got that. They weren't just paying lip service. Like, they really have, a solid staff of talent and people there, and you work harder there for sure, and you do make decent money, but there's no free lunch in trucking, so to speak. I mean, you are working hard there for sure, and you're doing more loads, kind of more regional-ish in my opinion. A lot of 500-600 mile runs. I kind of miss like long haul stuff, reefer style. That's what I'm doing now, and you have tighter appointment times when you're doing all those shorter hauls, but yeah, you made pretty good money there. But anyway, the point I'm making is that they were able to keep a lot of drivers, like a lower turnover rate, because they were genuinely, cool people that respected like other human beings, right? But it's just amazing how, a lot of the mega carriers and a lot of the companies, how they miss this. I think when you become a mega carrier, though, it's always harder not to get like that, because you could have started off the right way, then it just gets too big and it's harder to manage, and then people just definitely start becoming numbers and so forth. But that's why I try to go to like the mid-sized companies, not too small but not too big to where, or excuse me, not too small to where they don't have their stuff together, but also not too big, right? So you want to kind of get that, ideally like 100 to 400 trucks. Those are the companies that I target to work with, because it's still manageable. But yeah, I mean, the last company I was at, they paid well. It was mid-size-ish, but yeah, it's so annoying. Like, imagine yourself like a military person, right? Say you're in the bunker, like you're in a war, right? You're a field guy. So you're out there in the bunker, so to speak, in action, life and death job, very dangerous. I'm not comparing trucking to being in war, but I'm saying it's not even close, but trucking is a dangerous occupation. and then you're in the bunker as a military guy, and you're calling back on your radio, to somebody sitting in an office, like giving you a passive aggressive attitude or being rude to you on the phone. I mean, can you imagine that? It's like this. That's the absurdity of it, right? And that's kind of like the attitude a lot of. It's more so the mid-level people in the white-collar world, like I would say, like the dispatchers, receptionists, accountants, not accountants, but bookkeepers, payroll people, usually executives and business owners and operations managers. They kind of know how to act. They appreciate what they're doing. They appreciate other people. Not always, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of bad operations managers, but anyway, that's the thing. Like this is like one of the biggest problems, basically, as far as driver turnover. But there's a lot of ignorance, and I don't know if that's just in business in general, right? Like they think if they say all the right words and they throw money on it, that it's gonna somehow make it a good company, right? Or be able to actually retain drivers. But it's just not happening. It's not going to work. And I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know if it's like that in other countries, probably. But I do think in our culture here in America, in big business, that we really just look at numbers on a page and we're like, yeah, if we, whatever it takes, to get the numbers. If we pay people this, they should be happy. But life doesn't work that way. It's just that simple. I mean, you see that in corporate greed. That's why we have problems with big pharma, right? Don't even get me started. There's a lot of good medicines that we have approved by the FDA, for instance. But big pharma in general is a serious problem to the human race, right? I mean, let's say, for instance, the mental health industry in the country. Well, the whole mental health system is completely shattered. I mean, I really do think it's arguably, it's basically incentivized to push big pharma psychotropic medicines onto the majority of the population, or at least the population of people that go to these people. Because the fact is you have 1 in 4 Americans taking mind-altering substances, like whatever it may be, psychotropics, right? Zoloft, Wellbutrin, lithium, mood stabilizers, antipsychotics, antidepressants, anti-anxiety, all across the board. Way over medicated, right? And so you get doctors that go to med school. They come out of med school after 8, 9, 10 years, and they find themselves $250,000 in debt. So now they're in debt, and they got bills to pay. They're entitled because they went to school for so long. So they're living the middle upper class Jones's lifestyle. So now they've turned basically their practice into a grindhouse of just handing out prescriptions that they're incentivized to give out. That's how they make money. And so there's really no treatment in the mental health system, for instance. And they say, we need more mental health, whatever, doctors and stuff. Maybe it's the structure of the system is designed to make money. That's the problem. It's the same with the homeless population. You realize, with our taxpayer money, it's relatively easy to solve. Not relatively easy, but it's solvable, like the homeless crisis, so to speak. You guys know that, right? The reason it's not solved is because, it's bureaucratic reasons, and there's money to be made off the homeless as well. I mean, I forget what dictator was coming to San Francisco, but I think, what's his name, Newsom, he was able to clean up the city for a period of time, right? Before, what's his name, showed up. I forget, I don't know. Some dictator from over in Asia, I forget his name, but sorry, not dictator. I mean, I don't know if it was from North Korea or what. I can't remember. Anyway, he cleans up San Francisco, and his whole justification, he was like, yeah, well, you know, when your friends come over, you clean up the house. But the point is like he was able to clean it up like in a couple of days. But it's just kind of amazing, you know. But anyway, back to the broken big pharma mental health system. Yeah, I mean, it's completely a scam. I mean, I would probably say that 80%, I'm willing to bet 80% of the doctors, particularly the psychiatrists, are in fact committing a form of malpractice, in my opinion, because they're not really given treatment. And see, psychiatry is there to support big pharma. Psychiatry was always the enemy of man, really, because it was historically used to punish people, right? And it still is, only it's more quote-unquote civilized and, you know, supposedly more scientific, which the fact is it's not. It's always been a pseudoscience, always will be. But it's fascinating how so many people are still scammed by it. That it's just, they really, you'll hear them use all the dime store psych labels, right? You hear them say like, oh, he suffers from schizophrenia or bipolar, blah, blah, blah. But all that stuff isn't even science-based, that's the thing. And I think a lot of people don't know that. But it's kind of hilarious to watch, because even people that know the difference, you hear them talk about it. It's kind of amazing. It's remarkable. But the reason I talk about it on the channel is because I think it's a serious, serious problem, you know? Like, particularly in our culture. You know, and it's a real thing. Because, I mean, I'm talking like 25-30% of the American population. You ever notice that term practitioner, for instance? You ever think about that term practitioner? What does that mean? To practice, right? So you have somebody practicing giving out medicine and doing whatever surgeries or recommendations, and that's why they have malpractice insurance. I don't know, my friend pointed that out to me. He's like, think about the word practice. I was like, I know, right? It's like they're literally practicing medicine, right? It's kind of funny. I never really thought about it that way. It's semantics, right? But anyway, don't get me wrong. A lot of good doctors out there, a lot of good medicines and big pharma, and even psychotropics have their place for certain people, right? But my only point is that they're overprescribed, and it's obviously just financially driven. It's pretty obvious. But this whole stuff it's part of a complex machine, you know? And what a lot of this stuff comes down to is like people think that, oh, you know, the next president of the United States is going to be able to reform and change everything, and it's the biggest issue is basic human greed at all levels from a lot of these big companies, and that's kind of what's going on. So but anywho, welcome to the live stream out there. Captain Trucker, I can't see comments, but you're all hear them. When I pull the truck over, I'll be able to read them. But if you enjoyed that last speech, smash the like button, folks. But anyway, you get a lot of American expats, people that want to live in other countries, is they're taking some of this baggage with them, right? So this is why, you know, like on my channel, I've always talked about assimilation and trying to adapt and learn from some of these ancient cultures, right? Because we in the West, from years of, you know, there's propaganda all over the world, right? But I mean, we have a certain viewpoint of how we look at these quote unquote developing countries or quote third world countries. That's really it's a weird mindset because I think in the future, I think developing countries are going to be where it's at in terms of survival and in terms of living like a decent life. And I think we're seeing that even right now because there's a lot to be learned there, right? But anyway, where a lot of us are failing as expats is that we're not learning to appreciate the culture in countries like the Philippines. So we kind of go there with our, I don't know, some of our Western baggage, if you will. A lot of guys probably obviously suffering from mental issues, traumas, and so forth, and they have trouble adjusting and living in these new cultures. But there's ways to kind of ways around that. That's what I've been talking about in this. Well, like last year on the channel, I was talking a lot about that. I'm gonna pull over really quick, or maybe not.
Turn left at the traffic light, then take the first left.
Give me a second, people. All right, we're now on private property, so I can check my messages here. All right. Okay, let's see what we got going on. All right, I'm back. Good morning, everybody. Kenneth says, sorry, I live in the Philippines. If you've never lived here, you don't know just by one visit. Well, Kenneth, I have a house there. I've been there several times. I have family there. Yeah, that's part of traveling, Kenneth. See, I think there's a mentality that they say stuff like, well, that's that whole thing where the guy's like, I have 45 years experience. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, some people sit on the couch for 45 years. It doesn't make them necessarily more knowledgeable or have any particular wisdom. I mean, people can have wisdom at any age, but the point of that is, that's just joking, no disrespect, but I'm saying, expats travel, and I think traveling, even moving around, is an important thing. Because that can kind of happen too, like you move to the Philippines and you can get stuck like in a province and you end up shutting yourself in a house for like a long time. And it's important that people move around, basically. So hey, Tangerine, thanks. Kenneth Arnold says, I was an OTR driver for 44 years. Never had an accident. Good luck from a retired trucker. Thanks, Kenneth. I appreciate that. That's an incredible record, man. That's very impressive. That's crazy, says Chief. Hello, sir. Kathy is here. Paul ELS says he loves trucks. Right on. Officer Expat. Hey, man, you previously asked me where I'm a police officer. I'm in NYS. Transfer into the West Coast in the next few months. I'm currently in a lateral process. Hope you're well. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm good, man. Just getting this drive done, you know. Let's see. Brian Schaefer is here. Sunrise. Yeah, we're doing the sunrise. Larry was here. Bill Stoney. Oh, Melly K Vlogs. Thank you, Kelly. Melly, sorry. Check out her channel, by the way. She's just starting her channel. I suspect she'll have a good channel. Jennifer was here. Thank you, everybody. Give me a second. I got to grab something, and we'll carry on this conversation, folks. King was here. All right, I'll be right back. Hold on. We're making progress today. Lots of progress. Things going by fast. I started driving at 4 a.m. Need to buy some more tangerines. More tangerines. Got some bars. Okay. Oh, man, thank you, everybody. Striated Sternum says, if you want a documentary on the background while driving, I recommend Europa, The Last Battle. Sounds good. Kenneth Arnold's been married to a Filipino for 3 years, and he lives in Angeles City. I still haven't been to Angeles City. Is there a lot of drama out there? A lot of, like, I don't know, it seemed a bit too, well, I imagine there's probably cool parts, but it was just too, I guess from what I've seen, the way the vloggers show it, it's kind of, I don't know, like a red light district. Is that the way to put it? Maybe that's not the right way. I'm just waking up too, guys. I'm not on 24/7. It takes me a moment to think. All right. Thank you, Record 101. Actually, you mean it's a subject I do enjoy talking about because it's tied into a lot of things in this country. You know, you always say something all the time, especially when you don't get. When I don't get, I don't know. Can you better explain yourself, Record 101? I want to hear your insights. You seem like a highly intelligent person. So can you please share with me more specifically what you mean? Kenneth Arnold says if you stay out of the bars, yeah. Well, there's a new vlogging law, like I said. Sorry, not a vlogging law. It's the wrong way to put it. Excuse me. There was already a law in place, and they're adding more. I think on June 10th, in the NPC, there was more guidelines maybe added. So now they're saying bloggers have to blur people's faces in public, have disclaimers on their channels and stuff, saying if people want their face removed and all that. Anyway. Yeah, it's a subject I do talk about. Yeah, that's certainly true. 100%. Yeah, I don't know. There's I went to Amsterdam a couple years ago, and I didn't even go to the red light district. It's too, I don't know, it's too cheesy for me. There's something grotesque about, prostitutes standing in windows in Amsterdam, right across the street from a church, no doubt. Yeah, I was in a church. I think there was a black prostitute looking at me through the window, trying to entice me to come over when I was across the street, literally in one of these old ancient churches. What was that one church I went to? Oh, God, what was the name of it? It was awesome. Man, I lost the name. Sorry, but it was great there, man. But yeah, I didn't go to the red light district. I found it a bit too grotesque. Yeah. I mean, I'm not judging anybody who goes there. It's it's a tourist attraction. It's one of those things you go walk through it, walk into a few shops at least once in your life, right? But not really my cup of tea. No, and I don't even like tea. Actually, I do like tea. There's a lot of different types of tea, by the way. I don't know if you guys knew that. Anyway, I'll be right back. I gotta check the truck really quick, guys. We're gonna start rolling in 5 minutes, alright? Just give me a moment. Give me a moment. I'll let you enjoy the view of that field in front of us. Yeah, it's not technically a law, Kenneth. There was a law already in place. And I think what the correct terminology is, well, I don't know what the correct terminology is, but some kind of, I don't want to say amendment, but something was added to it, so to speak, under a circular, like NPC something. Yeah. And a lot of people feel that, that whole Vitali fiasco played a big role in that. I'll be right back, guys. Give me 5 minutes. Thanks for waiting. I am back. We're going to be leaving momentarily. About 3.5 hours from our destination. Alrighty then. We are ready to roll. Are you all excited? I hope you're excited. It's Captain Trucker, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. We are in Tennessee, and we're about 3.5 hours from our destination. Record 101 says, I'm just trying to say that there's something I want to do about Filipina values. If you don't get it, if someone gets mad at a Filipina, it means that you're trying to hook up the same thing with more value. I don't understand what you're saying. I don't understand what you're saying. I mean, I'm not mad at any Filipinos. I don't understand what you're saying. Record 101. But I appreciate your thoughts, whatever they are. I'm not quite sure, but I don't know. Where's my keys? All right, we got to drive. We're an hour ahead of schedule, so that's good. Here we go, folks. Thank you, Kenneth. All right, I got the phone mounted, folks, so I can't read messages while I'm driving or see the phone, because that's the way it goes. I do have a moderator in the room, so I can't see the messages, but they'll be able to delete anything if any trolls show up or whatever. That's always nice. Appreciate the help. Tangerine's been a great supporter of the channel.
Turn right at the stop sign, then turn right.
Doing a U-turn. I should have washed my windows actually, but sorry if the windows are dirty. Always something actually, they're not too bad.
Turn right at the traffic light.
Getting back on the I-40 East. Buckle your seatbelts.
Continue on I.
$166 miles to Nashville. Nashville is where actually Eastern Dreamer lives. He's there right now, as a matter of fact. Alex, we'd stop by his house and say hi, but we don't have time because we're on load. It's kind of funny though. He's a vlogger in Dumageddon. Came back to the States recently. He's got a good channel. Drop back, maintain following distance. to get a better, like a shock absorber or something for the phone mount, so it's not a shaky viewing experience for you all. Anyway, welcome to the live stream, anybody out there. I was going to take a break from talking. I'm not sure if I should talk more. I gotta mentally figure it out. Sometimes I like to drive in peace. Find out what the latest news is on the Iran situation. guess the sun is up now. We started off this morning like Sunrise is just coming up, and now it's up. That went by quick. Tennessee. About 160 miles from Nashville. Welcome to the live stream, ladies and gentlemen, whoever's out there. It's Captain Trucker, man. We're cruising through Nashville today. If you like the view, smash that like button. It helps with the algorithm. Yeah, I posted this recently. I was talking about different guidelines that vloggers have to do filming in public in the Philippines. Gotta blur faces. If you're monetizing videos, you can't just run around with a camera being disrespectful. Yes. People are getting tired of it. Can't say I'm surprised. In fact, I'm not surprised at all. You know, there's over 500 known foreign bloggers there. Channels range in size, of course. tomorrow we are headed towards the Chicago area. Hopefully the load won't deliver in Chicago itself, because it's never an enjoyable city to deliver a load. Very narrow, very tight docks and so forth. Traffic, potholes. Did Elon Musk and Trump become friends again? I never followed up with that. That's a rhetorical question I'm asking myself. Did Musk and Trump make up? I never followed up. The last I heard, Musk went on a, I don't know. He made all these posts, I guess. That's the last I heard. Truck drivers require a lot of patience. That is a true story. Maybe I'll just live stream the entire day. That'd be kind of funny. Some 9-hour trucker drives live stream. Give people a real idea what the life is like. That guy wouldn't let me get over. I always got to get in the other lane when there's somebody on the shoulder. But the guy in the dump truck was being what they call selfish. That's not a professional. About 150 miles from Nashville, Tennessee. If you like the view of this road, smash that like button. Frequencies, man. truck over soon. I'm more ahead of schedule than I thought. That's good news, though. Live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Started off today in Little Rock, Arkansas. Now we are approaching, or we went through Memphis, Tennessee, and now we're going to Nashville, Tennessee. Approximately 140 miles from our destination. Having a good old time this morning. Been streaming for almost 3 hours, actually. Can you imagine if I talked for 3 hours straight? Thanks for coming by today, everybody. God bless.